What is going on, Raptors Nation? Luca here, back with another video. Hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at if the Raptors will end up looking smart for letting Fred VanVleet walk. Before we dive right into it, if you all can do me a solid, please hit a like on the video. It helps it a ton. And subscribe here to the Raptors Nation YouTube channel for all things Raptors. The NBA season is almost here, and Raptors basketball is almost here. So we are super excited to bring you all types of content over here on YouTube and, of course, on our website, raptorsnation.com. So I wanted to do this piece because Dennis Schroeder has been the talk of Raptors fans as of late, and rightfully so. Dennis Schroeder has been balling out, and he played extremely well during the FIBA World Cup. He won tournament MVP. He led Team Germany to the gold, and Raptors fans, myself included, are excited about what Dennis Schroeder can bring to the Raptors for this season. Schroeder, he has been on a couple of teams over the last couple of years, and he looks to play his best basketball this season with the Raptors. Now, let's rewind a little bit here. The Raptors, they essentially let Fred VanVleet walk. Fred VanVleet received the bag, 3-year, $130 million. He goes to the Houston Rockets, and the Raptors didn't want to entertain that. They didn't want to top that, and I applauded that decision at the time because trying to bring in Fred for more than that, it would have been problematic for the Raptors long term. So the Raptors, although they mishandled the situation of not getting anything for Fred, they didn't make the bad decision of signing VanVleet for too much money. And the Houston Rockets essentially pried VanVleet away from the Raptors. And then the Raptors were left there needing to come up with a plan B. And they quickly found VanVleet's replacement by signing Dennis Schroeder to a 2-year, $26 million deal. A lot less than VanVleet. And at the time, a lot of people were saying, oh, Dennis Schroeder is nice and all, but he's not going to fill the gap. He's not going to fill the void that is now in Toronto with Fred VanVleet gone. And at the time, I did like the signing. I thought, given the circumstances, Dennis Schroeder was going to do a lot of good things for the Raptors. And now, following his FIBA performance, I'm feeling good, even better, about the Dennis Schroeder signing. I think Dennis Schroeder is going to fill the gaps with Fred VanVleet no longer here in Toronto. Now, is he going to make up all of Fred VanVleet's production? No. Obviously, other guys are going to have to step up as well. But I think Dennis Schroeder can make up the bulk of VanVleet's production. And what if I told you the Raptors have a guy in Dennis Schroeder that can give them close to VanVleet's value for $100 million less? Now, that would be best case scenario. And of course, Schroeder's going to have to translate his FIBA game to the NBA level, which is a completely different animal. But Dennis Schroeder, I think, is going to thrive in Toronto. Now, for starters, Dennis Schroeder wants to be here. He appeared on NBA Today, and he basically described why he ultimately left the Lakers for the Raptors. And he mentioned this. He said, I think Darko Rajakovic, the head coach, I met him 5 years ago in OKC. We became friends. I definitely said to my agent, I want to be there. I think it's a great fit. So obviously, Darko left a good impression on Schroeder to the point where Dennis Schroeder, once he saw that opportunity in Toronto, that Darko was going to be the coach there to lead that team, he wanted to be there. And he literally said that. So not only does Schroeder want to be here, but he's going to have more of a leadership role. He's going to want to help the young guys get better. He's basically going to be in a role with the Raptors that he just had with Germany. Now, he's not going to be the focal point of the Raptors offense, but he has a chance to be one of the main guys. Like, this is going to be an opportunity for Schroeder to go there to Toronto and make the most out of his minutes. Because if Darko does, in fact, utilize Schroeder as a starter, and by the way, it's going to be hard for Darko not to, especially given Schroeder's FIBA World Cup resume. If he is given that starting position, Schroeder's going to get probably like 35 minutes a game, and he's really going to be in a position where he can not only maximize his value, but also get everybody's value up. Because we saw at the FIBA World Cup, Dennis Schroeder did a terrific job blowing past defenders. He uses that speed, which is such a breath of fresh air to his advantage. He gets inside. He can either get his own offense, get to the rim, hit a floater, or set up his teammates. And I think having a guy like Schroeder who's going to be able to set up the likes of Siakam, Barnes, and really dish it out to shooters who then need to hit their shots, guys like OG, Gary Trent Jr., Grady Dick, that's going to help this team. I think Dennis Schroeder is really going to uplift this Raptors half-court offense, a half-court offense that struggled last season. And this is an offense that looked stagnant last season. And I think Schroeder, with his playmaking ability, with his speed, is going to open things up for the Raptors. And Schroeder obviously had some nice individual performances at the FIBA World Cup. He can get his offense. He can set up his teammates. And then a part that doesn't get talked about enough, I think, when it comes to Schroeder's game is defensively. Of course, Fred VanVleet, excellent defender. I'm not saying Schroeder's going to be as good of a defender as VanVleet was here, but I think Schroeder's going to hold his own because we saw, whether it was the FIBA World Cup or even last year's playoffs, he hung in there with some very talented guards, guys like John Morant, Stephen Curry, particularly in the playoffs. So Dennis Schroeder, I know the knock on his game is his three-point shooting, but if he can get that efficiency up from the floor and if his three-point shooting can improve, I think Schroeder could be in line for a very big year with the Toronto Raptors. And I think best case scenario, we could be looking back at the Raptors' decision of letting VanVleet walk and electing to go with a much cheaper option in Schroeder as being a very smart one. Now, I think Fred VanVleet is going to do well in Houston. And of course, I'm not taking anything away from him. But I think Dennis Schroeder is going to bring something new, a new dynamic to this Raptors team. And I love that he does have leadership qualities. And we saw that in Germany's run. He is able to not only propel himself, but his teammates. And we saw when Schroeder had a 4 for 26 shooting performance, he came right back in the next game with his biggest performance, arguably, and put Germany in front with the victory against the United States. So that just tells you the type of character Schroeder is. He's going to bring that confidence to this team. He's going to bring that swagger. He's got great familiarity with the Raptors head coach. So I'm very excited what Schroeder can do here in Toronto. Now, again, it's not certain if he's going to start or come from off the bench as a six-man, but whatever the role is, I think Schroeder's going to make the most out of it. And don't be surprised if Schroeder ends up having a career year in Toronto. So I think Dennis Schroeder is going to do a lot of good things. And I do think the Raptors will be applauding themselves for not jumping the gun, bringing back VanVleet, and instead going in this direction with Dennis Schroeder. Now, of course, other guys need to play better. It's not going to solely fall on Schroeder, but if Schroeder does his thing, if other guys step up, then VanVleet's production will be made up for. So we will see if that is the case. But Raptors fans, are you looking forward to Dennis Schroeder here in Toronto? And do you think the Raptors will end up looking smart for letting VanVleet walk and electing to go with Dennis Schroeder as their plan B? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit a like on the video, guys, and subscribe for more. That is it for me. This is Lucas signing off. As always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, stay safe.